Okay, great to see you, everybody. It's a pleasure. Glad that we can bring you some cool perspective moving forward. We're talking about building apps in the era of vibe coding, and what does that really mean in 2026? Uh, it's important to know, that technology is evolving very quickly. We all know this. And I think it's worth to remember where we were 12 months ago and 24 months ago. Uh, and when we were thinking that AI is going to be able to write full applications and write full code, um, a lot of people were saying that's not possible. The engineers will prevail. Um, Now it's clear that you can use very advanced models to build highly functioning software. Um, the time that was needed to prepare a functioning product has gone down drastically. But it's not only about how we build software, it's also about how we build and operate software. So today we're going to dive deep into the conversation about what does it mean that something is production ready? What does it mean that you can use AI to go from idea to prototype to full-blown application? We're going to see how this can be done. And think about how you as builders can use AI not only as a co-pilot, but as the primary engine for your creation. And it's really about being able to use these tools in the best possible way. It's still important to have humans in the loop, no question about it. But if you're the human in the loop, how important is it that you know what you want to achieve? How important is it that you can express yourself and your intent in a very clear way, and then go to much bigger and more scalable systems? So with some real life examples and some real life execution, we're going to have the CEO of ADA AI, who has recently joined our team as well and working with us on bringing the best products to market. And we're going to see how English has become the new language of coding, right? I think English is the new coding language. And Andre Karpate said this 2 or 3 years ago, and people didn't understand what he said. Yeah, people were thinking, "Oh, this is crazy." And now it turns out 80, 90, 100% of code for production systems can be done. So joining me today is Ian Arden, serial founder. Ian accelerated over 100 companies in the AI space and Web3 space. He's proving that you can build at speed that was previously impossible. Ian, let's get your take over the last 20 years of your experience on the new era, and what does it mean to be an engineer in 2026?
Hi, Paul. Hi, everyone. My pleasure being here. So yeah, engineering has evolved a lot. Like it's mutated over the past 20 years, even like before the AI enabled coding was there. Like the whole tendency has been towards like from the analytical and low level engineering to the high level composition, like building the platforms based on the existing components, right? And I remember starting as a software developer in 2003, And I did that with assembly, C, C++, C Sharp. I was very lucky to start my software development career with some great opportunities where I used to work on sophisticated projects that were later sold for hundreds of millions of dollars. I worked with fantastic software developers within my team, but the development 20 years ago has been like pretty intense. Like you needed to understand the algorithms, you needed to understand the OOP. Having C++ handy was like really convenient because it was enabling us to build extremely sophisticated systems with multiple levels of abstractions and what have you. And that's definitely the experience that I carry over through the years, and it's still helpful even in the current day, especially with what we are building right now natively. It's a pretty complex system that will evolve into something really beautiful for the ecosystem, right? But then over years and years, the software development has been simplifying. I've watched the trend of like Web3 development emerging, and it demanded way less skills, way more frameworks were out there. And so many people who probably would say they can't be the developers for the operating systems era were now able to become the software engineers. And then everything changed in the 2020s with the rise of the artificial intelligence, because indeed, software development is simple for AI. If you think about it, software development is just a subset of everything that AI is trained on and knows. And surprisingly enough, it's simple as well, because every programming language is actually, just a couple dozen of system words and a very limited set of the primitives that form the algorithms and the patterns. So it's no wonder that we are where we are with AI and coding, and the fact that, surprisingly, one of the most complex professions out there, software development, is being heavily replaced by AI. Let's not, let's face the truth that that's what it is. And where it's heading, I believe we're going to be, we're going to see the trend where, some software products are going to be like entirely autonomous in the future. I mean, that's already happening to the degree that one developer is capable, if equipped with the proper tools, to be doing the work of 10 developers in the past. I think the design work can be like almost entirely automated and what have you. So I see the trend of the rise of the new software, where not only it offers the autonomy to the clients of the software, but the software itself is more autonomous. And further, I'm happy to delve into how exactly you want to create such systems for yourself.
Yeah, I think that's what is really valuable, is kind of to take a kind of walk through, how you use these vibe coding tools in general. How do you apply a structure, right, to your thinking and kind of stage it to get a result that actually makes sense and matters, right? I also think that it's totally different for smaller, teams or even individuals that are building, and it's different when you're engaging with a project that is supported by a bigger company, right? We had this conversation yesterday about how the top Silicon Valley teams are now splitting their work into the traditional roadmap execution, making sure that all the features are getting delivered on time and on quality, and any new features and all the new work that's getting done is actually vibe coded into existence, right? And it's about being able to connect that work that is scalable and driven by high quality architecture with the work that's needed on a day-to-day basis to deliver features very rapidly. And I think those are the two approaches. So would love to get your take on, okay, how do you actually get started? Like, how do you convert an idea into structure, right? That people can either use to drive a hackathon to completion, yeah? So they can come in, use the tool, get things going, and they can get a thing that works. But more importantly, how do you get a thing that works into a product state, yeah? What mistakes to avoid in the beginning? And I'm fascinated, by this process. And, we've been using these systems for a better part of 5 or 6 years, right? Remember when the first versions of GPT-3 came out and you could use English to get a SQL request, right? And that was mind-blowing, right? That you don't have to write the query, but you can actually ask the AI and it will give you the syntax of the query. Obviously, it didn't implement it. It didn't kind of do anything with it. It didn't actually go and make the query, but you could copy paste into your existing product, and it would come back with the query. So for me, that was like a big aha moment, because it can do it for an SQL query. Then okay, so that's it, game over, right? If it can do it for that, it means it can do it for anything. It doesn't matter anymore. And now we are here 6-7 years later, where it doesn't matter. You can ask it anything and it will do it. The question is, you still need to know what to ask and how to ask. Exactly. Yeah. That hasn't changed, right? You still have to know what to ask. And this is, I think, the fascinating bit that people will get a good understanding if you kind of introduce it a little bit, what to ask and how to ask it.
Sure thing. And by the way, my aha moment was kind of similar. I was like, can you talk to me in HTML versus plain text? And it did. And I'm like, all right, if it can talk HTML, then it can like produce any kind of UI if you think about it, right? And it tends towards like where it's all heading with ChatGPT and other AI providers potentially becoming our super apps of the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a separate question. We can come back to that, whether you should allow yourself as a developer and as an entrepreneur to lock yourself into a system where you are obligated to use only one model. And is that the best model, right? That I've been thinking about this for a long while. And, we've always tried to act as the honest agent on the market and giving access to all the models. Yeah. And letting people use what's best for their outcome. But that's a separate conversation. Yeah, but would love to kind of get your take on how to ask and what to ask.
So really, like what I've been struggling with, even after like we got the first public versions of ChatGPT and it became kind of mainstream, was all right, we can use it to write the code, but we are still lacking the context of it. So like the entire software development lifecycle has been like very segregated and siloed into the phases, right? There are the product management teams who are writing, they're collecting the market feedback and deciding on what features to do next, and they are maintaining the roadmap and the PRDs. Yeah, and that usually lives within an environment such as like Atlassian, Confluence, or any other document system, right? And then all of this gets, chunked and fed to the development teams so they can crunch the features, like code them. But that used to be a siloed environment as well. So one of the issues with using artificial intelligence for coding has been that the context has not been as complete as it could be because of these siloed environments. And then after you have coded it, you have a separate quality assurance processes, and they are kind of integrated with coding, so that's good. And I think one of the like key ideas to the success of the software development with AI and like successfully shipping the product is to create the homogeneous informational environment where the AI whom you are tasking to write the code for you actually has access to all the PRDs that are relevant for these features. And this way, it's it becomes kind of aware of what exactly it has to build. So the role of a software developer in terms of like feeding the requirements to it has also diminished. Our work has become more efficient. And when I get to work with more complex projects, I usually have this homogeneous setup where everything is available for my coding agent. I would like to share my screen to demonstrate like how exactly I prefer doing this. And it has served me a very good favor, to be honest.
Yeah, I think this is exactly what we want to see and people want to see. Just before you get into it, and as you set up, I think about June last year, basically the discovery that you can host multiple Claude coding agents inside your VS Code setup, right? And you can basically call them for different functions, yeah. And they have access to specific elements of your code base and specific repos and specific libraries, and that makes them so much more effective, right? Because people try to think, I'm going to set this free and it's going to build, into infinity, and then we see these broken loops. We see, either very small scale with some of the most recent projects, yeah, that can execute one function at a time, and then the ability to set up these assistants, right, that actually help you to perform the tasks. And I think this is what we're gonna dive into a little bit. But I've seen this an extremely effective at 1%, but also the same almost effectiveness is at when you have 70 individual developers, right? And then I don't think really that there are very good tools yet where 5, 10, 6, 70 developers are using multiple coding agents and they actually coordinate it. Yeah, I think that's still ahead of us, and it's fascinating to see the development of these systems. But yeah, as you get set up, I was just kind of saying that it works for a single person and it works for teams as well. So this kind of setup is very scalable.
Yeah, I'm actually still getting set up. I have to reopen my.
You can
My
probably
VS Code.
hear, yeah, you probably hear your machine struggling there, and it's
Yeah.
trying not to die. All the fans are on, and if you don't have fans, then the desk is basically heating up right now. So this is the I fully emphasize, and I've seen this before for myself. So hopefully that's gonna spin up correctly.
Yeah, things are looking good.
Nice. By the way, what kind of do you care about? What kind of machine do you run on a daily basis? Have you seen kind of the impact of AI systems on the selection of the actual Mac that you're using or PC that you're using? I sure have. So
Yeah, of course. The more powerful, the better. But it's okay. I do server side when I need. Okay, so I'll start with my setup on the local machine with the Cloud Code. I actually do love using Cloud Code. I used to do vibe coding tools before that, and we've built maybe 10 applications using different vibe coding tools out there. So we have a pretty good understanding of their strengths and weaknesses, limitations, and the opportunities in terms of like spinning off and spinning up things real quick. But sometimes, and this is the case with this project, I started feeling the limitations with like their internal tool set. And I just extracted everything and decided to run Cloud Code locally with the setup that I really need. And so here are the peculiarities of it. Like, first of all, for the developers out here, I'm using the container for this. So I try to containerize every of the projects. And surprisingly, and by the way, I hope you can see my screen now. Please confirm that.
Yes, yes, sorry, absolutely. Yes, you can. Yes,
All right,
perfect.
great,
Yeah,
great.
yes, you can. And
And
it's, yeah, yeah, sorry. And absolutely, yes. Fascinating, by the way, to see uh, the setup. And later on, I'm going to have some questions, yes, but we can all see the screen. And I think if you go slow and steady and kind of step by step explain to people what's going on, there's going to be a lot of value for the upcoming events.
okay, sounds good. So where do I start is I would like to explain how exactly I structure the project, because I said this for the long-term success. And for that, as mentioned earlier, like what is really important is to have a homogeneous or like unified information system where AI has access to everything that is relevant for the project, not only the code base, but the PRDs and stuff like that. So I'd start there. I have a pretty sophisticated docs folder, and this documents folder has a roadmap as a starting point, right? So roadmap is an empty file, and it contains a list of the long-term features with very brief description of every feature. As you can see, like every one of them is just a one-liner split into the larger epics. So in my Claude code instruction actually contains the commands about how to update the roadmap features when they are ready. So my AI maintains the current status of them in the real time, right? So as you can see, we have a bunch of features done, some in progress, some are scheduled for the upcoming releases, and then I also have like features for the future. And it's convenient because you as a human can always just throw a feature somewhere here for the future. You don't need to carry it in your head, and sooner or later you, with the help of your AI coding assistant, will get to it. So that's a governing document, like that's the most important one. And then from there, I work with AI to actually develop the PRDs for every particular component that we are building. And every PRD itself like also has the description of what is necessary and important. So sometimes I explain it to the AI in terms of what I want in this PRDs. Sometimes I get, yeah, and you've mentioned this, Paul, that like the talent of actually prompting AI and like building the intent defines, I'd say, like 90% of success. Because sometimes I don't know what I don't know. If I put myself in that position in front of the AI and will say, look, here is what I want, but what questions do I need to ask ourselves and have the answer for to get us to the success? And then the AI itself will produce like a bunch of the questions covering different aspects, something that us, the humans, just don't have enough brain power to think through. So PRDs are pretty essential documents, because this is how AI, it's actually the intent for the AI to go and build the software. And AI writes out the PRDs within its own format. It has the template for this. By the way, like I do have the templates developed by the AI, and it's easier for it to then just follow these templates, right? So we have a template for the PRD that explains how to name the feature, what is the status of it, and it will keep maintaining the status up to date, what component it belongs to, when it was created, and last updated. By the way, the temporal information is extremely important when you are working with AI, because what gets to happen over time is you may have the contradicting requirements or statements, and helping the date stamps is helping AI to actually establish which one overrides the previous ones. So highly recommend timestamping things as much as possible. If not doing so, like, you'll get lost, and your AI will get lost in a few months of the development. Right, so the PRDs, they are the starting point for the development. Then the development itself happens such that like it generates the tasks in order to accomplish the PRDs, and the tasks are split into the phases by the subfolders. So we have the backlog, to do, in progress, done, and some other service stages such as research-archive and functional follow-up. That's something that where I collect the technical data. Technical data is heavy with AI. We have to acknowledge that. And once I finish any feature, I do ask about what technical data it has created and where we deviated from the pure crystal architectural settings or principles that we've set. And then we will do this technical data into the functional follow-up folder. My Claude Code knows to look into the in progress folder in order to understand what we are working on right now. So that's also useful because you probably all know about the context window limitation, and even with a 1 million token window that we currently have, if I'm not mistaken, I do run into the limits of the context window. And that's why my AI is actually obliged and instructed to write the notes into the task folder, so that if I have to start it from scratch, it will read this task folder entirely and get to understand what has been the most recent on the particular task that it has to work with. So that's another area that I think a lot of developers overlook. But if you're working on a really serious project, and this one, by the way, is the agent orchestration platform that has taken me maybe 7 months to build to where it is right now, and it's not finished yet. With my recent full involvement as a head of platform and ecosystem for Natively AI, I've actually put this project on hold. But I still showcase it because I think it's a pinnacle of like how the projects have to be structured for the efficient AI development, right? So the task context is extremely important. Don't overlook it. Then let's see, where is the task? So this is the main file of the task. It will create a README as a default file for the task. Every task has the naming convention to it, and the folder itself reflects it. So it's task T250914. So it was kicked off in September, and it has the brief semantic task description as a part of the name. And then the README itself has all the details of this task. So my AI defines these task READMEs before it gets to the coding, and I get to review what exactly has been written as the scope of work for the task aspects of it. And I don't touch the code before this file has been validated. AI is pretty helpful because it describes the problem statement, the architecture assessment. It does the phases and the subtasks that have to be done. Of course, Claude Code has their like its own subtasking, but it's getting lost if you're losing the context window. So this README file is very helpful to have the persistence of that context. All right, and sometimes it will just write any additional nodes that are necessary for and within this task. Another aspect
So
is that,
wait, before you
please.
move on, I was wondering, how do you, and maybe you said this, but maybe I didn't fully understand. How do you set the persistence of the context? So how do you ensure that the context is it kept in memory? Is it kind of looped back? Is there like a context file that the agents can always revert back to? Are they always going back to the PRD for the context whenever they're making a new function call?
Yeah, that's right. So two aspects. PRD is always the context in terms of what exactly we are building, and PRDs are here. But I have this as part of my Claude Code instruction that it has to follow the tasks folder and understand what is the tasks in progress. So whenever you're losing the context window, like say something crashed or the context window gets compressed and like otherwise it will lose a lot of understanding of the peculiarities of the task. It actually writes the interim notes into this folder. So as you can see, this folder is dedicated to just one task. It's T2509140002, right? And the AI agent has created all these documents as the notes, something that is relevant for this task. These are not the codes. These are the notes to highlight the important things. And in every task folder, the README file is the most important kind of root file, if you will, where I, together with AI, am creating the task description, and it has like it decomposes it and it keeps adding to the this file the subtasks in order to keep itself on track, right? So we have the phased approach, we have the subtasks, and every now and then it just adds the status update to this task. Sometimes it will add like the entire nodes to it. When it thinks it's completed, it writes the statuses, and I actually govern all of this with the system instructions that I am giving to Claude Code. All the system instructions of Claude are in the Claude folder and Claude MD. Hold on a sec. Let me find Claude MD first. So Claude MD is the key file for Claude. It gets included into the like into the context of every run as the system instruction. So it just gets injected into the context, and you can be like really creative as a developer in terms of like what you want to write here. I start my Claude MD instruction with exactly giving him the understanding that the tasks in progress is where it has to understand what it is working on. I'm always thinking of the AI as something that is like super powerful and super knowledgeable, but extremely ADHD and extremely autistic, right? Pavel, have you watched this movie called Memento?
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely
Yeah.
remember it. Yes.
To those who haven't, it's about everyone should watch it. It's just a nice movie. It's about a guy who has the memory glitches or like serious issues, and he keeps forgetting things after like half an hour. And throughout the movie, he gets like heavily manipulated by people. He's been taken advantage of. Hope it didn't spoil too much of the movie for those who didn't watch. But I treat AI exactly as the memento. So at some point it will wake up and it will be like, oh my gosh, where am I? What is the context? What do I need to do? It explains it. You have to go here to the tasks folder in the in progress subfolder, and this is where you will find the current task. Then I ask it to head over to the roadmap empty file to understand the long-term roadmap. it is really good for it to like build the proper like attention fine-tuning, if you will. So while it's not necessarily important for a particular task execution, but it gives an idea of where exactly we are heading, what we are doing, and then the docs/PRD for the exact product requirement documents, right? And then after that, I describe the project overview and the system instruction. I explain what development commands it has. By the way, I do most of the DevOps with Cloud Code as well. So I have pretty intense shell files here, shell scripts. And yeah, it does me a very good favor because I literally I don't have to do anything in terms of the DevOps as well. I also have the testing set up. Oh, by the way, speaking about the testing, I think that's another area that is majorly overlooked. What I have is the Playwright setup. You can think of the Playwright as a framework that can open the browsers and emulate the human behavior, clicking through the pages in different browsers and making sure that the result is exactly as expected. And yeah, like I heavily recommend to automate the testing with the Playwright to everyone who is using AI for the software development. So that's here. I also have the architecture outline for it. What is on the back end and on the front end, the security standards. I have the workflow enforcement checklist. So I want to enforce this workflow where it's understanding of the roadmap, understanding of the PRD first, then the invocation of the sub-agent, product task manager, to do the analysis and understanding, and then technical planning with the architecture reviewer agent, coding, and then the planning. Then we actually do the tasks implementations early on as much as possible before we run code. And then after that, we do the implementation. And with the implementation, I pay a lot of attention to the existing code analysis. One of the issues with the AI is that it doesn't necessarily want to adhere to the existing principles of the architecture. It will so often create the duplicate code and even competing implementation patterns. So by understanding,
Ian, and can you maybe dive deep? Why does it happen? I mean, why do neural nets, right, decide that? And we see this, I think people see this on a daily basis that are not using AI for coding, is that models have a tendency to revert back to mommy, yeah, or daddy. They have a tendency to revert back to their original knowledge set, yeah. So do you know why that happens and why our models kind of set up that way, and what are the mechanisms that people can use to force them, right? We remember, I think it was Sergey Brin that said the best outcomes is threatening them with violence, and the more extreme violence, the better the outcome.
Yeah.
So does anybody know, or do you have some of your own thoughts about why models do it, or is it still like a big black box?
Yeah, no, it's explainable. So, and it gets us back to the evolution of the large language models and artificial intelligence. So, maybe you do remember the early days, like 2016, 17, when the AI models were a lot about like the auto completions, and as long as you started texting anything like Paris is, it will do a fantastic job auto-completing the entire paragraph, saying it's a capital of France and it has this and that population. Here is the history of Paris and so on, right? Because it's the large knowledge base that was trained on the knowledge that it got access to, right? All the knowledge from the internet and so on and so forth. Now, how it evolved was, and why ChatGPT is so great at the conversations is because they took this basic model of like auto completions, and then they really trained it on the conversations. So they hired I don't know how many dozen of thousands of people to submit the conversations into the model, and so that is how ChatGPT started being conversational. But in the essence of it, it's conversational not because it is in any way smarter than the auto completion model from that perspective. It is conversational because it was trained on that. And so it gets us to the point that the coding AI agents have been trained in a certain way as well. They have been trained on the set of the input and the output that is expected as a result of that input, right? And typically the input has been the product specification or something that is pretty static, or say a developer saying, I need this problem solved, or a task description out of the GitHub public repository, and the output for that has been the code. And it's a pretty static interaction, right? It's an input of the requirement, of the code as the result. Now, the next phase in the evolution of the coding process, and by the way, I think we are getting there because whether we realize this or not, what's happening under the bonnet is we, all the developers, all the humans who are interacting with Claude Code or any other coding model are actually submitting the training set for the next for this next phase in the AI-enabled coding. And this next training set includes like all these iterations that have been successful and unsuccessful, all the interactions between the developers and the AI, in order for the creators and the owners of Claude Code and other systems to understand how exactly to get to the ideal code by having all this training set of the iterative approach to coding, right? So whereas earlier it was trained on, say, a set of the public GitHub repositories where the input was simple, it was the requirement, and the output was the code. The new set is the input is the entire interaction and the conversation of the human with an AI and how human has corrected AI in order to get to the result. And then the output will be the clean code. So in a way, we are currently training AI to get to the proper code up until the moment where finally humans will not even be needed for the entire AI coding process as such. So that's my take on this. So we want this or not, but the coding models, although being smart, they are still the same underlying principles. It's the neural net. It's just the a huge set of parameters or vectors, if you will. It's just much larger. That's why we can't expect what a real senior software developer or architect can achieve in terms of the profoundness of the code and levels of the abstract thinking, because abstract thinking does require this I'd say multimodality that is still hard to achieve for the AI.
I think what you're also showing is an extreme example of how a very advanced and skilled person benefits from using AI to create complex workflows and multi-threaded workflows, right? I think it would be great to get your take on because we have a lot of people that are expert builders, but we also have a lot of people that are just starting with coding, and they have subject matter expertise. They might be doctors, they might be accountants, lawyers, and they would want to be able to take all of this technological advancement and place it into a workload that they can execute on their own, right? And I think
Right.
I think what you showed is the back end of it, yeah. And would be great to understand, how do you see packaging this into something that is usable for every person?
Right, and that's what we are building at Natively, right? We are building a platform that removes all this complexity. We are taking care of it. We can take care of everything under the bonnet so that users don't need to deal with that complexity. And it's really simple, right? It all boils down to the like constructing the intent properly. And like once you as a developer are getting ready for the product before you hit the send button in this window, I'm presenting the beta of Natively AI right now. It's our product that we still keep private, but we'll be rolling out the access soon. And once I tried it the very first time, I was very stunned with how good the result was and how quickly I actually got to the result. And so I built what I built was the college comparison application, because my son has turned 17 and we're considering the US based colleges, some colleges in the UAE, that's where we live, and so on. And so I'm like, let me do this. And I was not very thoughtful at that moment because I just wanted to try it out. And it has developed the result for me pretty fast. But I was like, snap, I did forget to like tell it about the aesthetics that I want. And so I went back and I said, no, I want you to redo this following the apple.com aesthetics. So that's something that everyone can do as well. You can just indicate some type of a style that is already world-class and it just, be inspired by that. So the developers role boils down majorly to, first of all, like getting to construct the intent properly. And there are a few preparation steps for that. First of all, you want to understand what exactly you're building and why and for whom. I'll probably start with the why. You want to build something that is relevant to your previous experience and your passion. And that's, by the way, what every investor is appreciating. And of course, because it increases your chances of success if you are working on something that is adjacent or overlapping with your previous experience. You have the years of your career track record, you have the connections in the space, you understand the structure of the markets you are dealing with, and so on. So that's to answer the why question. Now, the what question, and again, currently it's something that is outside of Natively AI platform, but we plan to implement it in the future, is like, what is the business model of what you are shipping and for whom? So you want to spend a little bit of time like simulating the customer development and like the product design thinking loop. And then after that, you will define really well what you want to build. And then you head over to Natively AI for the building itself. And you can type anything you want. It's pretty simple. At this time, I will try to repeat the same app idea where I would like to build a college comparison website.
By the way, I'm not jinxing anything, but live demo, always a brave choice, Ian.
Yes, it may break. It may break, but will not be super stressed about it. Mobile first, and I will say right away that I want to have the apple.com aesthetics. Shall it be my my hackathon idea? I will, of course, develop it in much greater detail. I had a separate 2-hour workshop, which should be available on LabLab platform, to explain how exactly you create the business model canvas and the PRDs. So make sure to watch that one. But for now, this is a simplified one, and hey, it's working. It starts to build the software itself. It sets the project name. Really love it. Starts creating the file, and all you need to do at this stage is just go back to drinking your favorite drink, cocoa, tea, coffee, and we can be back in a few minutes, and we'll see that it would create the fully fledged MVP for you. And I think that's the future of the software development. The benefit of natively AI is that like all the system instructions and all the secret sauce under the bonnet has been developed on the back of how many 400 hackathons that we've had, and the data sets from understanding how hundreds of thousands of the developers that are building the products and what gets the ones who are the winners to actually be the successful ones. And that gave us the unique perspective to build natively that is not only simple from the building perspective, but also taps into the ecosystem of lab, where you can participate in the hackathons, where you can publish the products on the marketplace, where you can win token prizes in the competitions, as well as also tokenize your product using Surge Launchpad. So, really a distinctive line about natively is its connectedness to the ecosystem that turns vibe coding into the full flow from the ideation to the monetization of the product, and your success, not only as a software developer, but as a tech entrepreneur or a small team.
Absolutely. I think this is a very good, segue into, how can a founder that has a great subject matter expertise, but little to no technical knowledge, become ultimately that AI engineer, right? And I think this is where apps like Natively and others step in, right? And they really come to their own, and they can prove that that the general public, let's call, civilians, can now become technical founders. So I'm very happy to see this technology accelerating so much, and see that we are bringing this in a way that everybody can access. For me, this is really the democratization of knowledge and the democratization of the education space around how to become a founder, how to build, product, how to build delivery. And ultimately, this is why we're doing it, to bring everybody this concept of universal ownership. You should own your ideas, and you should take your ideas to market, without sharing that ownership with people that are not your co-founders, that are not the people that support you directly. And ultimately, there will be a one-person billion-dollar company or a two-person billion-dollar company, and it will be built based not only on technical skill, but using AI mainly. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, where do you see that happening? How do you see that era of the $1 billion individual company coming to life? From your perspective, as the technical founder?
Sure, but first of all, Pavel, what you said about the ownership resonates a lot with me, because I've been exposed to AI for more than 10 years for serious. Back in 2016, when I was telling people, hey, there will be times when you'll be able to like put a piece of text in the text box and it will generate the full-fledged video for you, like people were thinking, oh my God, like it's not possible. What are you talking about? And here we are with this, right? So I've been thinking for a very long time about like the economies of the world and really like the wealth distribution frameworks that exist on Earth, and it's a lot about like the wealth distribution framework is a lot about like the job itself. Like if we don't go to work, we don't get salary, we don't have the means for existence, we can pay our bills and so on. And so if AI like really substitutes jobs massively, what are we gonna do? And then another aspect of it is that AI is really privatized. It's in the hands of the large companies, and large VCs are investing in the AI companies, and they get accessible and available to the public only through the IPO event when basically we all know that the valuation is so high already. On the flip side, the ownership of the AI and the participation in the distribution of the economic value that AI produces, I think is one of the very important, not only economic, but the social principles. And sadly, not too many people speak about that. I'm so happy that you're raising this topic every now and then. The fact that we probably need to give the access to that AI generated economy to as many people as early on, so that by the time when AI truly gives like 10x productivity to everyone on Earth, so that people don't have to work as much any longer, they will be able to have the passive income, or you could think of it as the UBI or what have you, but at least there will be a fair distribution of that AI achieved efficiency in the work productivity and economy. Now, getting back to the question that you asked about the $1 billion company owned and built by 1, 2, max 3 people. I think it's coming very soon. I think we already like see the companies which are like dozens of core team members, but they are at like 10 billion or 50 billion valuation. So we are not very far from there. But it's a lot about like not only building the product, but finding the proper platform for the distribution and for the exposure. And that returns us back to natively AI, because that's exactly what we are building. An ecosystem where a technical founder or a developer can not only build the product, but monetize it by selling it as a template or publishing it as the software as a service with a subscription. And then the positive feedback loops in terms of the exposure to the audience, to the investors, corporate partners that we have, stuff like that. So natively will definitely play the role in that, in the acceleration of that positive feedback loop and the trend of getting the really talented people to the $1 billion valuations.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what we need to be very clear on, is that the pie is getting bigger, and by the pie I mean the global economy. Yeah, it's growing from the $100 trillion total GDP globally. It's going to 200 trillion. Up to 50% of that, probably 50%, will have a connection to AI, and this means that there's more room for everybody, and there's 2 ways to go after this $100 trillion value. One is fully hold it in the hands of the big corporations, or build a system that allows individuals to take benefit because they're at the grassroots level of innovation, they have the direct access to market, they have the direct access to clients, they have the data and the subject matter expertise to be able to execute. Yeah, and I think that's what we would like to see happen. Yeah, and with that in mind, I'd like to invite everybody to join LabLab.ai hackathons and build the next billion-dollar unicorn product. I'd like to invite you to bring this product to launch in our environment, to raise capital in our environment, either in a decentralized way or a capital-centric way, whatever is best for you. Yeah, and to use the tools and the partners that we have at our disposal. So ultimately, the goal here was to show how the top developers use very complex systems to build with AI, and then how these complex systems can be then transferred into something that is much more feasible and easier to use. And that's what we're doing here. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Ian, for joining. And
it's been my pleasure.
We'll see everybody soon. And yeah, if you have any questions, jump into Discord. We're always active there. We have multiple mentors ready to answer your questions, multiple people from the big corp companies as well that want to tell you how to use their tech to drive your own ownership of projects and products. And join the hacks, join Surge, and hopefully we'll see you when you reach your first $100,000 in recurring revenue, and then $1 million, and 10 million, and 100 million. So thanks everybody for joining. It was a blast. Thank you, Ian, for taking us through this. We'll definitely organize another one of these sessions in the coming weeks to show progress on what we have been building and cooking, and also show you all the new technologies that are being integrated into the ecosystem. So great to have you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.